back to my channel. For anyone who may be new here, maybe this is the first video of mine that you are seeing, hi! My name is Michelle, I'm 24 years old and I teach 4th grade math, science, and social studies in Crofton, Maryland. Now, most of the videos on my channel are teaching related. Specifically, I do a lot of classroom vlogs, and I know this video is completely different. As you can tell from the title, I am going to be talking all about my microblading experience. I did recently have my eyebrows microbladed, and I've gotten a lot of questions since then. If you do find this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up while you're watching, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on all of my future videos. I do want to preface this by saying that I have absolutely no bad things to say about my microblading experience, so if you are looking for like a microblading horror story, this is not the video for you. Really quick, for anyone who is watching and maybe doesn't know what microblading is a semi-permanent procedure, so it does not last forever. It does tend to fade over time, but it typically lasts about 1 to 3 years. So it is a technique using a superfine instrument that has a bundle of, I don't know, like 12 to 15 needles in it, and it actually deposits pigment into your skin and makes little hair-like strokes, almost like little small paper cuts, to help fill in your eyebrows. Now, there are things like actual eyebrow tattoos that are more permanent. However, I personally chose to go with microblading because it is more natural looking, because the instrument is so fine and it makes those hair-like strokes. I do want to talk quickly about why I chose to get microblading done. I do have pretty thick eyebrows. I do have a lot of eyebrow hair. However, one bad thing about my eyebrow hair is it does fall out when I get stressed. And as a teacher, I get stressed pretty frequently. I also have never had a great eyebrow shape. One of the problems that I had is the hairs that grow in towards the middle. Number one, grow in very sparse and kind of patchy, and number two, the hairs grow straight out. Like most eyebrow hairs grow up or like over, those ones literally grow straight out. And I've tried eyebrow gel, I've tried all these different things, and nothing would help them to stay down, which was very frustrating. I had attempted to fill in my eyebrows, which I'm sure you all saw in previous videos, and I was never good at it. I watched every YouTube tutorial known to man and I could just never master it, and I think it's because my natural eyebrow shape is so much different than what they are now microbladed, and I just did not have the experience to be able to get it to the shape that I really wanted. I also will say I have been very self-conscious about my eyebrows literally for years because I've known that they didn't look good, and when you have a YouTube channel and you have people continuously commenting on your appearance, it really does start to wear down on you after a while. And I know that other people's opinions don't matter, and I've really grown as a person to help realize that. However, when you have something that you're already self-conscious about and then you have people commenting 10, 20 times a day telling you how horrible they are, it doesn't make it any better. So I finally decided just to take the plunge, go ahead, get my eyebrows microbladed, and I really did it as a treat to myself. This was something that I wanted to do to make myself feel better. Now, at the time when I kind of decided like, hey, I definitely want to get this done, I was actually training for the Boston Marathon, so I had to hold off for a couple of months because after you get your eyebrows done, you cannot get them wet for a week, which means you cannot be sweating. And when you run, especially out in the heat, you are going to sweat. So I actually held off until after the marathon. So it was like mid-April, I finished the marathon, and I started looking for places around me. I basically just Google searched microblading places in Maryland because I was willing to travel to pretty much any part of my state because I knew that I wanted to find a salon and an artist that I really trusted. Now, that is my biggest piece of advice I can give to you if you are looking into getting microblading done. Do your research and pick an artist that has a lot of experience. I recommend looking at pictures of their work through a portfolio. Maybe they have it on their website, or if they have social media and they post pictures on Instagram, take a look at those pictures because ultimately that's pretty much what your brows are going to end up looking like. And I cannot stress this enough. Please, please, please do not pick a salon or an artist because they are offering some kind of a sale or a discount. I had always heard the phrase good brows aren't cheap and cheap brows aren't good, and not that that's 100% true all the time, but I do think it's true a majority of the time. So I spent several hours online researching places, looking at their social media, looking at their portfolios, and I actually really lucked out. The place that I ended up selecting, it's called Lash Moi, and it's located like right across the street from my school, like less than a quarter of a mile, which was really convenient for me. Now, if you happen to live within Maryland and you're looking for a place, again, I fully recommend this place. I will link all of their information, their website, and their social media handles and all that in the description box so you can check them out as well. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in there because it feels like a good time to say it. This video is not sponsored in any way. In fact, the artist in the salon, they don't even know that I'm making this video. I just got so many questions that I wanted to be able to tell you all about my experience, so this is 100% my genuine opinion. But again, I picked the place that I picked because when I saw their pictures on social media, all of the brows looked so natural. And I had looked at a lot of places where they just looked very cosmetic and like very drawn on, and I did not personally want that for myself. Some people want that and that's fine, but I wanted mine to look very natural. Also, when I saw that the lead artist of the salon, I'm pretty sure she's the owner of the salon too, her name is Julie. She has been doing permanent makeup since 2000, which microblading is not permanent, it's semi-permanent, but still, she's been doing makeup procedures for about 18 years, which to me is a crazy amount of experience. She also does most of the brows for the Redskins cheerleaders, which to me spoke volumes. So once I decided that this was the place that I wanted to go through, I called them up and I was able to schedule a free consultation, and thankfully they were actually able to get me in like, I don't know, a day or two later, which was great. My consultation was with Julie, who I told you is like their lead artist. I'm pretty sure she's the owner, and she basically just took a look at my brows. I kind of talked to her about what I was wanting to get from my microblading, and she talked me through the procedure, how it would go, and answered any questions that I had. Then we started to talk about cost, because I know you all are probably wondering. So Julie told me that for her to personally do my eyebrows, it was going to be $800, or I had the option of having one of her junior artists who has studied underneath of her to do it for about $400, so half of the price. So I ended up having Julie herself do them for the more expensive price of $800, because even though I know the junior artist has studied under her and I'm sure that she's done an amazing job teaching her, that junior artist is not going to have as much experience as Julie has. And again, I totally believe you get what you pay for, and if this is something that's going to last on my face for 1 to 3 years, I am willing to pay a more expensive price just to get a more quality job done by an artist with more experience. So then I scheduled the actual microblading appointment. They were able to get me in about 2 weeks later, so my appointment was for May 16th. Also, I just want to kind of throw out there, I had been growing out my eyebrows. You all probably remember seeing that in my vlogs for about 5 to 6 weeks roughly, because I wanted them to be as full as possible when I went in so she could see my natural shape. Also worth mentioning, before you actually go in for your microblading appointment, you are supposed to avoid caffeine and alcohol for that day. I think it has something to do with like your blood thinning or something, I don't know, but that's really all you have to do ahead of time. So May 16th comes, my appointment was actually after school, so I went to school, rushed over there afterwards. I got there and I had to fill out some paperwork, so I had to fill out one about like allergies and I had to answer some questions, and then I had to fill out another one where I basically signed saying like it's a cosmetic procedure and they can't guarantee results, blah 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 blah, you know, basically just saying I can't like sue them afterwards because the results weren't exactly what I wanted, which I totally understand when you do a procedure like this. Then Julie took me back, and I have to say one thing I really liked about this salon is it was very calming. It smelled really nice. They had music playing, and it wasn't like elevator music, it was like actual current kind of music. It was a lot of like music similar to what I put in my vlogs, which I really liked. Everything was divided with like black curtains, so when you went into the room you were like completely secluded, and they had like comfy pillows and everything back there, so it just made me feel a lot more relaxed. So she had me sit there and she started to talk to me about what kind of shape I wanted, and I basically said, look, you're the one with all the experience, I totally trust your judgment. I knew that she would pick out a shape that would look good for my face and with my natural brows already. So the longest part of the first microblading appointment is actually her just drawing on the brows, not the actual microblading. She spent about 30 to 35 minutes just drawing on the shape. She kind of went in and like shaved the hairs that weren't really gonna fit in the shape, and she drew it on with a black like pencil, almost like an eyeliner pencil, which is really weird because when you see yourself with like these thick black brows and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want it to look like that. But she kept reminding me like, just look at the shape of them. They're not gonna be that dark. Just look at the actual shape of the brows and figure out if that's what you like. So she would draw them and she'd go in and erase a little bit, and she'd go back and draw them and erase a little bit. And again, it took 30 to 35 minutes because she really was taking her time to make sure that they were perfect. So I looked at them in a mirror with the finished product and I liked them. I really didn't have any changes because she did a fantastic job. And then she had me lay back, and that's when the actual blading process started. Now, most places will apply like a topical numbing solution just on top of your brows to help ease some of the discomfort. Now, this is gonna sound totally weird. I don't even know if I was actually numbed the first time around, and I say this because I know I was definitely numbed the second time around, and the first time felt very different. If they did numb me, they did not numb me the same way because what happened the second time around never happened the first time. So I don't know. I'm sure I was numbed, but for some reason I never really felt it actually get numb the first time. Now let me make it clear, the pain was not unbearable by any means, but it definitely was uncomfortable. It basically feels like little paper cuts over and over again on your eyebrows. The worst part is actually hearing like the scraping sound as they do it, just because that's kind of like cringeworthy, but the actual pain just feels like little, cuts being made on your eyebrow. It was kind of funny because she handed me a stress ball and inside I'm kind of like laughing. I'm like, I'm not gonna need this. But yes, I actually did squeeze that thing quite a bit the first time around. But the good news is the actual blading part only took 10 to 15 minutes, so it was very quick. I talked to people who had the blading part last as long as like 45 minutes to an hour. So again, when you pick a very experienced artist, they're probably gonna be able to do it much faster than someone that doesn't have as much experience. Also, I don't think I was having quite as much done as some people. There's some people who barely have eyebrows at all and basically get the entire thing microbladed, whereas for me, it was really just to define the shape more and fill in those areas that were sparse. So she finished the blading, I sat up, she showed me in a mirror, and I was instantly in love. They literally just looked so much better than they did before. So the appointment took less than an hour, I'm pretty sure, from start to finish. She had told me it could take as long as like an hour and a half to 2 hours, but I was done in less than an hour. So as I was leaving, she gave me this card that had emojis on it. I'll like insert it over here if I can find it online. I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna try to. And that kind of went over the healing process, which I'll talk about in a second. She also gave me a gauze pad, which I would use a couple hours after the appointment. I think I waited like 4 or 5 hours and I had to use purified water. So I boiled some water on the stove, let it cool, dampened the gauze, and just wiped off my brow, and then after that I could not get my eyebrows wet for a week. I also had to keep my body temperature cool for a week, so I couldn't really work out, or if I did, I had to do very light workouts. And I had to avoid caffeine and alcohol for a couple days after the procedure. I think I avoided coffee for about 4 days, and I don't really drink alcohol, so that was no problem for me. So for that week following the procedure, I had to take baths instead of showers to prevent getting them wet, and I would literally just like lean back and like hold my hands here and put it under the faucet to be able to get my hair wet, but it was fine. I totally got used to it. I also had to avoid direct sun exposure on my eyebrows for I think a week or 2 following the procedure, and then I do have to apply sunscreen to my eyebrows every day just to prevent them from fading in the sun. But you probably should be applying sunscreen to your face anyway just to avoid too much sun exposure, so that probably is a good habit for me to be having anyway. On the card, it explains that for the first 3 to 4 days, your eyebrows actually darken and they appear darker than they will once they actually heal. So do not freak out when you see your eyebrows very dark because they will lighten. Then days like, I don't know, 5 to 8-ish, your eyebrows actually start to like scab and kind of peel off, but you're not supposed to like actually peel them. You're supposed to just let it happen naturally. Then days like, I don't know, 9 to 12, the next couple of days, your eyebrows actually look like they have like completely faded, and some people freak out because they think that their eyebrows are gone. But the next couple days after that, you'll kind of notice them reappear. I don't even know why that happens. It's kind of weird, but don't worry. After 2 weeks, your eyebrows are pretty much all healed and back to normal. Then you do have a touch-up session 4 weeks roughly after your first appointment. Mine was exactly a month later. It was on June 16th, which was about 3 weeks ago. The touch-up session is basically to fill in any areas that maybe didn't hold the pigment as well the first time. After I went for my first appointment and my eyebrows healed, there was an area like right up here, which I had quite a bit of microblading done here because this eyebrow does not go up as high at all, and that area did tend to fade quite a lot. Also, some of the areas on the inside here had faded, so you go in for the touch-up and she will kind of redo those areas. Now the touch-up session was super fast. I think mine took less than 30 minutes. I basically went right into the back. They had me lay down. One of the other workers applied a numbing cream, and this is why I said I don't even know if I was numb the first time, because the first time was a lot more painful and I never noticed them put numbing stuff on it, and I never felt my eyebrows get numb. But for the touch-up, they put numbing stuff on it and they put like, I don't know, a little piece of gauze or something over top. They let me sit there for like 15 minutes and I could feel my eyebrows actually getting numb. Then Julie came back and she started doing the microblading right away, and there was minimal pain the second time. Like I could feel pressure, but I didn't feel as much like pure pain as I did the first time. So she spent about 10 minutes touching them up and then I was done. Now the healing process is the same the second time around. So again, can't get them wet, keep your body temperature cool, avoid caffeine, all of that. However, when my eyebrows went through the actual healing process, I didn't really notice them fade like I did the first time. There was a time where I was like, oh, you know, this spot's kind of gone, this spot's kind of gone. I never really had that after my touch-up. Now I do have another follow-up appointment 4 weeks after the touch-up, so it's in another week or 2. It's July 16th, and that's basically for her just to kind of evaluate them now that they've fully healed after the touch-up, and for her to decide if I need another touch-up, but most people don't require it, and I don't really foresee myself needing that. So overall, I am 110% happy that I did the microblading, and I only wish that I had done it sooner. Now these will last 1 to 3 years, 3 years if you really keep up with like applying the sunscreen and avoiding sun and all that good stuff. So I will have to go and get them touched up after that time when I do notice them starting to fade, but for me that is completely completely worth it. I no longer have to fill them in at all. This is how they naturally are. I did nothing to them this morning. It saves me so much time and they just look so much better than even when I was filling them in. All I have to do now is just tweeze them and trim them and that's it. Plus, I will say that it just made me more confident with my appearance overall. Now that I feel like my eyebrows actually look good, I've actually been wearing a lot less makeup and I'm a lot more willing to go with absolutely no makeup because at least my eyebrows look good. And again, please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. As always, thank you for watching. I love you all so, so much. Don't forget to think positive and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video and for supporting my YouTube channel. If you want to check out any of my older videos, you can use the 2 links right down here. If you want to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, you can use the link right up here. In the description box, you'll find links from my Teachers Pay Teachers store along with my PO address if you're interested. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one.